everyone, John Henry here, slingshotfutures.com, and welcome to the daily market outlook on futures and Forex. This one's going to be going out for trading on 2/2/17, February 2nd. Now, this one is mainly going to be focusing on the futures markets. My Forex data is a little bit wonky right now, and I don't really trust going through different levels. We'll take a quick peek at them, but you'll see what I mean when we start digging into the Forex charts. So I got to do a little bit of data resetting here, and we should be good to go for the Forex market. So basically, the main idea of the daily outlook is to create a plan for trading tomorrow so that we can be as prepared as possible. That way, when we're approaching the markets, we have a game plan, we can follow those rules, and we can stick with that plan and trade it as best we can. Starting off, we have gold on our big three of the futures markets. In gold, we did have a big drive lower. Now, all things considered, it was mostly a range to start the day off. We didn't get really anywhere. There was a slight downward bias to it, but when we started breaking out heavily to the downside, the sellers piled on like candy, drove that market all the way down to sub-1200s. Now, after we hit that 1200 area, we went as low as 99.7. It rocket shipped all the way back up to where we started. Now, a lot of times what will happen is they'll reapproach the earlier breakout point, and the breakout point arguably started about right there. So that's why you're going to see a lot of bouncing off of that area, mainly just due to the fact that they're retesting the breakout point. Once that breakout point is retested, the sellers have a shot to take it back down again, and they failed. They couldn't even make a good pair of consecutive candles before giving it right back up again, and that's showing us that the buyers are potentially here to stay for a little bit. That major rejection off of 1200 could be seen on a daily chart as a big pullback for buyers to buy into, and now we're looking for a run back towards the top. With this bullish momentum to the upside, we did have a little intermediate swing trap that formed up here. We had a big move up, nice little pullback, good continuation, came back on that news at 2 o'clock with FOMC, tapped one tick underneath the low and rocketed to the upside. So chances are that probably trapped out a lot of buyers that maybe weren't too happy to get trapped out of that, and they bought in on the next pullback. Really, all that has occurred now that we have this big back and forth. We have a huge range. Now, inside this range, it's pretty obvious we have a good intermediate level of support between 5.9 and 3.9. But all things considered, the buyers do own the market, and we have a nice bull channel rising higher. But we can't ignore the fact that the last time we were up here, we found a major amount of resistance, so much so that it collapsed all the way back down to the 1200 point. And now it looks like the sellers are trying to defend it. So if the sellers can gain some ground here, i.e. a push down, showing that we can get underneath a moving average at least, start breaking underneath this monthly support, we may be looking for a good drive to the downside. But until that happens, we have to be thinking buy side only given this bullish strength. And I would love to buy a pullback, maybe just to the bottom of the channel. Maybe if we can pull back to that initial pullback after the news, which would be around 1208.5 down to 1207, that would also be a nice smaller area to potentially jump in on. Either way, though, the buyers own the market. We have to be looking to buy, even if it doesn't look that great and we're fairly high in the move. We may want to wait for a pullback instead, but all things are pointing north at the moment unless the buyers give up. Over on crude, a little bit kind of the same, right? This one has a much nicer looking trend to it overall, but the overnight session, very range bound. We broke down to a new low, to a new high, to a new low. Well, actually, this one they missed by just a little bit, and then that led into a big bull breakout. Now, today is inventory day, and we had the inventories come out, and even with inventory, the market was very slow. You can see here, it looks okay, but looking inside the candle, look at all of the wick everywhere on this run higher. The market was very choppy today ahead of the inventories, and even when the inventories came out, it only managed to get a 40-tick bar. I think it was 38 or 39 ticks, and then it completely fell apart again. It rocketed all the way back up to a new high. When the sellers tried coming in and, the buyers probably buying into the move, what do we know? They have a chance to buy the breakout point. The breakout point arguably back at that big, massive bull candle. And they did. They bought it 3 full times before getting the sellers trapped in and just rocket shipping it right back up. So the buyers are obviously interested in this move. At the moment, we have a little bit of overzealousness. The buyers pushed above the potential bull top, and that gives us a little bit of a clue that, although we do want to be buyers, we may have to deal with a deeper pullback. Buyers don't want to buy this high, obviously. They bought down here. They probably took profit up here. Now they're looking to re-enter on the next pullback. The next pullback area, very similar to gold, maybe kind of inter-candle at around 53.43 down to, let's say, 53.36. Otherwise, though, looking for a deeper pullback, this could just be a flag for a bear move lower, for a measured move down to where this breakout point started, either around here at 53.12 or so, maybe a little bit lower. And by the time we get down there, we may even have the channel low acting as a multiple level of support, along with massive inventory at 52.98 to 85. So looking to be a buyer, but not right now. At the moment, if anything, I would almost rather be a seller, knowing that the buyers got a little bit extreme at the highs, they did a little too much too fast, and they're probably going to take some profit off the table to cause a pullback. So at the moment, looking for the pullback to continue. Short-term selling could be an option. Otherwise, looking to buy on a nicer pullback to see if we can get another attempted run at the highs. And then over on the Dow, to wrap up the futures markets, we have a range. I was hoping the FOMC announcements and all of that would kick things off a little bit, but it doesn't seem to have made much of an impact. We had a move down, new low, into a new high. Nice little pullback. They tried getting it to go back down to the lows. Big breakout move to the upside. And then we hit 930 and it completely collapsed back to a new low. So what do we really have here? New lows, new highs, new lows. We're in a big range, and the range has expanded. Now, arguably, based off of the resistance that we found earlier at around 1 in the morning and 5:30 in the morning, we're now back at there, showing support at around 10 o'clock, and now again as resistance here going into the 1500 hour. So this level, although it is kind of in the middle of the range, could easily act as a new range interim where we get stuck in between here for a little while until they decide if they want to break up, break down, whatever they want to do. So at the moment, we have major inventory support, buyers buying low at 19,783 to 774, and sellers looking to sell high above at 19,896 to 889, with interim support and resistance at 848 to 843. You know the motto for a range: buy low, sell high, and stay out of the middle. And in this case, one of the areas that we could be looking for might be in the middle. So play that one a little bit more cautiously, but definitely looking to buy low and sell high at the very least. So overall, yeah, that's kind of the game plan going forward on the Dow. Now again, the Forex data, my Forex charts are a little bit wonky with the charts. There's a bunch of weird gaps in here. I've just got to do a data fix. Something's not quite right. But overall, looking at the euro, fairly range bound from what I can see. We did end up getting a nice breakdown lower. And then when they had a chance to follow it up with another good leg low, they failed. Complete failure. Twin reversal bottom. They even came back on the FOMC announcement to retest it and found major support there for a push back up. So that tells us one big thing. The buyers are very interested in this move, and they're going to be buying into this pullback, looking for another attempted rally to the upside. How far they're going to get? Well, there was a lot of weakness up here. You may, instead of looking for a major new high all the way up, a slightly lower, more conservative target could be right above that 780 area at the peak of that FOMC breakout move on the euro. So looking to buy the pullbacks from what I can see, maybe the buyer's looking for another leg up. Over on the pound, very similar situation, but more trendy. We had a little bit of a bear move lower to start the morning off, but that completely broke out and just didn't stop going higher. We did pause for a little while from around 8 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock going into the FOMC, but once we had that, we started continuing back in the original trend direction. One big thing that we're seeing here, right? This was the breakout point of the FOMC. It pushed all the way up just above that monthly resistance area, last month's high, 26,729, and when they came back to retest it, it failed again. That's a little bit of a clue. Although this is a range, and the range has a bullish bias, we're looking to buy into it, I wouldn't necessarily want to buy right this second. I would want to wait for a little more proof from the buyers to show that they actually do want to set up, because we could easily fail all the way back down to the lows. And if that's the case, there's expected to be buyers underneath this bottom to try to pick it up between 26.20 to 26.10. So I definitely want to be a buyer, but not right now. I need more proof from the buyers that they want to continue it, and if they don't show up, looking to possibly sell to get back down to that 26.20 area. And then finally on the yen, again, even more obvious that there's some issues with the charts, but we started off the morning with a nice bullish trend working its way higher. They broke down underneath it, mostly just kind of a range, and completed the drive up. After that drive up was completed, a big pullback to the downside. Sellers took it once again off on that move lower. Once the FOMC announcement came out, it helped quite a bit. Big breakdown lower. we haven't formed a complete range yet, right? The range hasn't been proven. We have had a new high, new low, new high, new high, new high, new high, new high. We haven't continued to make new lows back down here, and the range won't be confirmed until we can get back to that 112.60 area. Now, at the moment, there is a lot of bullish pressure in this. The buyers have piggybacked right on top of each other, a big string of bullishness right here. So there's very likely going to be a secondary buy attempt to get another leg to the upside before we start looking for continuation selling. Now, that secondary leg to the upside may just be to retest the highs. It might not be very big, but that said, this is a lot of bullish pressure to step in the front of. I wouldn't want to be that one joining the bear party too early. So let the sellers prove it, and then maybe we can jump into the downside. Once again, maybe not to an all-new low, but looking for at least that breakout point right underneath that 113 area on the yen. So that's kind of what we're looking at overall, and that is going to be the daily market outlook. So as always, if you have any questions, make sure to send me an email, jbrink@slingshotfutures.com. Make sure, like we always say, to make a plan, trade that plan, follow your rules, and you will be A-okay. Until tomorrow, enjoy the rest of the night, everyone. Trade safe, and we will see y'all then.